Hey folks, back with more ancient cosmography and you know. So this is I think I might have shown this in the last one, yeah. But just to show it a little more, it's like it's really showing this whole scene. This is the famous scene at Lascaux, the 20,000-year-old cave painting in the Lascaux caves of France. And so, it seems to have Australia, Papua, Philippines, and Sulawesi, and Taiwan here. Palawan here. And the Lesser Sundas here. So, just to show that it really is all together in here's another version of it that just shows the Busuwanga head of the Philippines a little bit better. And so it's part of this cave complex, the Lascaux cave. It's really a series of caves. And let's see. So yeah, this I basically showed last time. This I showed last time, just to show that like this is really like a whole ass section of the planet. Like you can see space on all four corners of this. And so it makes sense why it was in its own section of the Lascaux caves. All right, so this is a new one. So this just shows that same thing more directly, where that these are the same guy, these are the same guy, and these are the same guy. But of course, it's hard to see this one as well because it's all. Anyway, there's the head right there. So its belly is pointing this way. So everything is flipped retrograde, like in the ancient Egyptian maps, except for just Australia, which is prograde, and Palawan, which is prograde. So I think Palawan was probably the most important part of this whole region, my guess, considering how much attention was given to it versus its actual size there. Palawan is, it's this little long island there, which is, basically the master of this scene. It's prograde versus the rest of the Philippines, Sulawesi, and Taiwan. And then here you have the Atlatl, which seems to be the Lesser Sundas right there. So, and also it's like, it gives you a sense of why this story is the way it is. So here, right here, we see this bison is ramming this guy, and he's basically seems like starting to trample him. Like he just gored him with his horns, and now he's about to trample him underfoot because this guy's like, on his back, about to get trampled. Whereas here, in reality, he's already getting trampled. He's already been gored. So this is like a retrospective. that already happened, and now he's just getting trampled to fuck. And, you know, with these two guys, it's interesting. Well, I'll get into that later, but yeah. No. So yeah, it just shows how everything is pretty well situated. Like if you look at it this way, everything is either pretty much this way or it's mirrored. So, I mean, actually, the one thing that is basically entirely correct is just Palawan. Palawan really, if you put this on with a south up, which is seemed to be a very common ancient orientation for a lot of these avatars, then, you know, Papua is situated the same way here. If you put this on its side here, and just flipped, you know, it's basically the same angle, you know, with its back head tilting down just the other way. Similarly, this guy, the Philippines guy, is at the same angle, but just flipped retrograde. Whereas Palawan is actually pretty much exactly as it is. It is pointing this way, and the Busawanga, the bird, is at the tip here and facing down. And whereas Australia is not quite what it is, you know, it's you know, the slightly different angle. So that's interesting. I do think Busawanga was like potentially the most important part of this whole region for these people, at least for its size. And so yeah, it's just like these earlier avatars where you have like the main one is prograde and then the ones around it are retrograde. Or like here, where these guys are prograde, I think, and then everything else is retrograde. So this again just shows how this is a whole section of the planet that we're talking about. So it makes sense why it's in its own shaft at Lascaux. All right, so I'm not sure when I think my phone's going to cut me off in a couple minutes, but this is, you know, looking at the Philippines critter, the Philippines god. His head is Zamboanga Peninsula here. He's in a battle against Busawanga right here. And it's interesting the way, you know, even though this is very different, because in this, again, they switched the positions. So in this, like, it seems that his front arms are up, you know, they're up in front of his head. But, you know, it kind of depends how you show this. But it is interesting that they do show, well, anyway, they show this at the right angle, orientation to that, arguably, but I'll have to show that together. But it makes sense that he's in battle against this figure, you know, Palawan, because that is the closest thing to it. And it seems that the battles represent the major choke points. So the two battles in this region, which are between Papua and Australia and between the Philippines and Palawan, which is part of the Philippines, but, you know, pretend it's not. Or maybe it's a battle with himself, battle with part of his own nature, or her own nature. So anyway, so this is Palawan. This is the bird